Hey guys, how's it going? Ryan here at LA Guitar Repair in the back room of the internationally obscure Imperial Vintage Guitars. Today talking about the 5 simple steps to set up your guitar. We've already covered 2 of those steps. Adjustment at the truss rod, adjustment of the bridge, and today we're talking about step 3, which is adjustment at the nut. An often overlooked adjustment that people do when restringing their guitars or setting them up. You want to make sure your nut slots are properly cut to the proper depth and thickness. To do that, you do need some fairly specific tools, which are nut files, which comes in pack about 10 of them, way overpriced, and you can get them about 2 or 3 different places, which is kind of a bummer, but definitely needed for this job for sure. And you can see the thin ones break pretty easy, so you know I need to buy a new set pretty quick here. Now, same thing what we have done with the bridge and with the truss rod. We're going to do this to spec, which at the nut is about 18 thousandths of an inch between the first fret and the string. And that's a little bit on the high side. That's kind of like how they send them out at the factory. Once again, with anything to do with setups, you always want to talk to the player first, get to know what style of music they're playing, how they like to feel it. They may have a really, really light touch and want their action way below spec, and that's totally fine, but always talk to the player. But once again, for our purposes, we're doing it to spec. So let's get at it. And very similar to how some people measure the truss rod action, which is depressing the first fret, last fret, and then tapping in the middle. To measure the action at the nut, you depress the 3rd fret here, and then you tap on that 1st fret. Now I've done this for a long time, and this is usually how I get the action measured, and then I'll measure it with the feeler gauges and write that down in my book. This is looking pretty good. That A's a little bit low, and here's the feeler gauges. So same thing, you don't depress anything with this. You just slide it right under the string at the 1st fret. This is measuring pretty good. Yeah. The main thing, this A is a little bit too low. Just a little, it's sitting right on that fret, and not buzzing yet, but it's going to get there. So we're going to raise that a little bit with a little bit of bone dust and super glue. And also today we're working on this really cool 1958 ES 140. Very rare guitar, very cool. 140T, the thin body. So now let's get at it. This A string, the A slot, is going to have to come up just a little bit. Now I'm first going to get my 36 nut slot. Got a scalpel, I got some bone dust right here. People use baking soda, sometimes you can just use glue. That's fine. Just a little bit there. I'll cover it up. Blow the excess off. Now very carefully, work a little bit of glue in there. Just a little bit. And I have super glue accelerator right here. A little touch. Now that super glue is rock hard. Go over that A slot again. And now it's on the high side, which is great. So these other strings are looking really, really nice. Just that A string. So I got my gauge nut file right here. I'm just going to cut a little bit lower. Put the A string back on. There we go. That's right what we want. So now we have the slots cut to depth. It was just on this guitar, just one was a little bit low, raise it up, they're all at the depth we want. Now we just want to make sure they're all just clean. So we have our gauge nut files. We're just going to go through and just run a quick file through each string just so that it's clear of debris and dust and dirt and everything like that. So do that real quick here. Now I'm not cutting it, I'm just essentially cleaning it. Another broken nut file. Back that A string there. Now, tune the guitar back up to pitch, as always, in the playing position. No buzzing on the open strings. Good to go. Now, one last thing I do before finishing this procedure is I just put a little bit of graphite into all the nut slots. Now they sell all kinds of nut grease, all that kind of jazz that you can get on Amazon and the Guitar Center. But at the end of the day, just a lead of a pencil is going to do just as fine. And when you are putting this in the plain strings, I just get an extra sharp lead mechanical pencil, just rub it on a piece of paper just to get it extra sharp. Sharpen up that lead, and then I go through each slot, just put a little bit of pencil lead in there. What graphite does is essentially lubricate the nut, so everything's moving smoothly. Go. We're good to go. Double check our work again. And now if the nut was way too high and we had to take a lot of material off, that would then affect the action down here as well. So if you did some kind of major work there or you're making a new nut, you kind of go back and forth and get the balance proper. But in this case, we just kind of shored up that one A string, cleaned the slots, and I put a little lubricant in those slots, and now we're good to go. And that is step 3. And now we're going to next move on to step 4, which would be intonating the guitar. And then step 5, which is adjusting the pickup height. And that is it. And we'll see you guys next time for those. And my name is Ryan again, and thank you for watching.